So today we're going to have a look at the altered dominant 7 chords. We're going to explain what they are, and we're going to have a look at a few chord positions that we can play on guitar with the root note on the low E string and on the A string as well. So let's start saying what a dominant 7 chord is. A dominant 7 chord is a chord made by the root note, the major third, the perfect fifth, and the minor seventh. They're called dominant chords because the function that they have is a dominant function. So they basically bring tension to the chord progression before you release that tension when you go to the first degree, which is going to be either a major or a minor chord. So for example, a 5-1 chord progression in the key of F major is going to sound like, where the 5 is going to be the C7, which creates this kind of tension that then you release when you resolve on the F major, which is going to be the first degree. Now, the altered dominant 7 chords belong to the world of the minor keys. More likely you're going to find them in a 5-1 minor progression, and you use them to resolve over a minor chord. So we could play an altered dominant 7 chord, for example a C7 altered. Now, the altered dominant 7 chords, they can have 4 different kind of alterations. They could be the flat 5, the sharp 5, the flat 9, or the sharp 9. Let's have a look at these combinations, what notes they have in it, and how we could play that on guitar. So if we start with the root note on the low E string, I'm using C as an example. I'm gonna play a C7 made by root, third, fifth, and flat 7, like we said earlier, in this way. Now from here I can realize that the note on top is going to be my perfect fifth, which is a G in this case. I'm going to move this one either 1/2 step higher or 1/2 step lower, so basically to G sharp or G flat, and I'm going to get a C7 sharp 5 or flat 5. Okay, so the notes in it are going to be C, which is the root note, E, which is going to be the major third, then I'm going to have the B flat, the minor 7, and then I'm going to use either the sharp 5 or the flat 5, G sharp or G flat, so basically again. Okay. Together with this, I could also use the ninth, the altered nines. So in this case, I could use a flat 9 or a sharp 9 chord. So I will move my root note to the C on the A string, 3rd fret, and I'm going to use a sharp 9 like this and a flat 9 like this. Now, this is still a C7. You can still see the C, the root note, E, which is going to be the major third, and B flat, the minor 7th. But now I'm going to use the D sharp, which is going to be my sharp 9, or the D flat, which is going to be my flat 9. Okay. These chords are also called omit 5 because I'm not going to play the fifth of these chords. If I do want to include the fifth, I could, for example, mix the nines, the altered nines that we talked about, with some of the altered fifths we saw earlier. So I could use, for example, the sharp 5 or the flat 5 here, so G sharp or G flat. And I could use, for example, the flat 9 together with the flat 5 with the flat 9 like this. Okay, flat 9 is going to be the D flat, and flat 5 is going to be the G flat. Or I could use the sharp 9, D sharp, with a sharp 5, G sharp, and play, for example, this position. Okay, so it's up to you how you want to combine them. Generally speaking, when you find something like C7 alt as a symbol of the chord, you can mix up any of these alterations together. On the piano, you could actually play all of them, the 4 alterations together. It's a little bit harder on guitar. You can't play all of them together. You can try to combine them with the positions that we are going to have a look at. If we go back now with the root note on the low E string, 8th fret, I can now take the sharp 5 that we played earlier and add to it either the flat 9 or the sharp 9. So I could play this chord that we had a look at before, C, B flat, E, G sharp are the notes in it, and add the D flat, which is going to be the flat 9. So this is going to be a beautiful C7, sharp 5, flat 9. Or I can replace the flat 9 with a sharp 9 and play the sharp 5 here and the flat 9 here, so basically G sharp and D sharp, and play this beautiful position okay, where we play C, B flat, E, and then the G sharp and the D sharp. Okay. Now, these are not all of the positions that you can play of the altered dominant 7 chords on guitar, so still keeping the root note here. Another beautiful position is this one, where you play a C7 flat 9, pretty much like the one that we saw here, omit 5, so without the 5th. So we're going to play the root note, the -7, the flat 9 here, and on top the major 3rd. So the voicing of this one is really interesting. And then another position that we could play could be the one where we play a C7 extended to the major 9, so just a C9, not an altered chord, with another alteration, the flat 5. So it becomes altered because of the flat 5, and it's basically this one. Okay, so when I play this, I can't play the root note here, but the root note obviously would be this note here. I'm playing the E, which is the major 3rd, then the B flat, which is the -7, the D, which is going to be the major 9 this time, and then the flat 5, which is the G flat here. Beautiful chord. Sometimes you don't have to play the root, you can play these rootless chords, okay? So this is going to be a rootless chord. So, in conclusion, we can say that any flat 5, sharp 5, flat 9 or sharp 9 have the function of basically create more tension and alter the dominant 7 chord, like a C7. This is different from the role of the extensions. The extensions are, for example, the 9th and the 13th, that you can play as major 9th and major 13th, and in that case you are not going to create any altered dominant 7 chord. However, you could find one of these extensions, like the major 9th that we played here, in conjunction with an alteration, like the flat 5 that we played. And remember that sometimes you don't necessarily have to play the root note in these chords, especially if you're playing in a context where you have a bass player which is already playing the root note. You could just play, you know, this beautiful voicing, which involves the major 3rd, the -7, sharp 9, sharp 5, without you playing the root note, which is going to be here, okay? Or the same if you just play this beautiful diminished triad, which obviously underlines that here we're going to play a C, which is played maybe on the bass, for example, and we're just going to play the -7, the minor 9th, and the major 3rd. So basically in this way, with a B flat diminished triad, you're actually playing a C7 flat 9, omit 5, because we are not going to include the 5th. Or one last way of seeing an altered dominant 7 chord as a C7 altered chord without the root note could be just playing a diminished chord, diminished 7th chord, like E diminished 7th, and obviously the chord, the root note, would be still here on the C, which again could be played on the bass, and what you are playing actually is just major 3rd, -7, flat 9, and the perfect 5th. So again, you're using the perfect 5th, you're not altering the 5th of the chord, but you are altering the flat 9. Okay, so you can have any of these combinations. You could have the perfect 5th and an alteration on the 9th. You could have a major 9th but an alteration on the 5th. Now if you do move this position here as a B flat diminished 7th and still imagine the root note here, you are still playing exactly the same chord, because the diminished 7 chord is a symmetric chord that you can move. Okay, so here I'm playing a B flat diminished 7th instead of an E diminished 7th, but it's going to be exactly the same chord, and for that reason, imagine the root note here, you're going to have flat 7 here, the -7, the B flat, the E, the major 3rd, the G, which is going to be the perfect 5th, and then the D flat, which is the flat 9. So again, if you played here or here, and obviously any other position in the middle, okay, you're still gonna play a C7 flat 9. Okay guys, so hopefully you're gonna have now a better understanding of these ultra dominant 7 chords when you find them in your jazz sounders or whenever you need to play them. Feel free to have a look at other chord positions, as these are only a few examples of the positions you can play ultra dominant 7 chords on guitar. If you did enjoy this video, please smash the like button and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell button to be notified when I release my new videos so you don't miss any other video like this one. And if you want to support the channel, feel free to share this video with your family and friends and leave a comment if you want to get in touch with me. This was The Bearded Guitarist. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll be seeing you next week.